Yes. Okay, so yeah, Florence controlling the Mediterranean. Would they be able to somehow pull off some sort of crazy landing? It'd be tough. But you do have... I think the French strategy at this moment has been to try to see... Well, has been trying to bleed out the manpower of the other side. However, that's been by losing battle after battle after battle. And that war score is just ticking. Every battle, it's nudging up a little bit more. And so they still have a lot of room to continue this strategy of bleeding out the eastern forces, but it can't last forever. And that's going to be trouble. Let's see, England wasn't giving them any money. That was me, Florence. Well, yeah, you do have people propping up France's budget, certainly. And, I mean, that's the only way they're able to pay for it all. But they have the manpower. I mean, it could have someone propping up the Ottomans as well. Let's see, subsidies. Kilwa. Okay. Yeah, so you do have Kilwa in it. So everyone, this is a global conflict. It's not quite a world war, but it is. The costs are globalized. The resources are certainly global, even if the fighting is just continental. And let's see, in the Florentine Bank, oh man. And there's also the fact that the loser can unconditionally surrender, and then the winner can take 100% peace. Kind of smart of Ethiopia, because those islands are worth a lot in terms of production and income. England is perfectly happy letting France burn. Ooh. What would that be? The current French player? No, that's Arcanus. Or Arcanus. Let's see, and then, so would there be any tricks to fix this? You always seem to pull magic out. Florence is more rich than I thought. So the war was declared on me, and England dishonored the call to arms. I would have gotten more allies. Ooh. And yeah, I made as much of the Ottomans win a peace at least. Too bad Calico is not as diplomatic. Is anyone funding Russia or Prussia? That's a great question. So we do have huge subsidies from Great Britain to Prussia. And some minor subsidies from the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth is involved, but very, like, barely. Like, the amount of ducats is quite minuscule. But yeah, the British continue, I think, are continuing to back both sides. They do continue to back both sides. But not enough to probably... I mean, we can't see the major donations when people are probably granting 1,000 ducats at a time. We don't really see where that's coming from. But it is a major conflict. But the British are busy fighting a war here. It looks like the... let's see. Let's take a look at India. So yeah, everyone's trying to gobble up as much of India as possible before they run out of AIs to consume. Of course, there's a lot of room to expand into Indonesia, where the Dutch have made a major place for themselves. And so I think the Dutch have done great here, because they're not involved in this major conflict where they don't really have the land. It looks like Trier could be slowly raising more troops. Potentially. I don't think they have a force that's large enough to make a difference in the war. That's the downside. You have a lot of smaller nations that aren't currently in the conflict. Most of them wouldn't make a dent unless several of them came in at the same time. And I don't know enough about the individual players to be able to speculate on that. Another major battle, though, between the French, the Battle of Genoa. Alright, thousands dead on each side of the conflict. It looks like this is France's battle, and France has broken through. Alright, there's a breakthrough on the Italian front. We'll see if the French can harness it, or if they just don't have enough troops. It looks like they are gonna try and push through a little bit, but it might not be enough. Alright, Russia and Catalonia. Too bad. Well, let's see. England, I think, wants to see everyone bleed, and then everyone won't be in a position to stop them from expanding in other areas. I think that makes sense. That does make sense. the longer this war goes, the more people that die in it, the more England gets a free hand in North America. Because, like, Spain is weakened, so, like, they don't have to worry about them for a while. I think they're coming in around here. No, that's the Danish. Alright, different shades of red. But yeah, I'm sure they have pre-existing agreements with each other of, like, where they should or should not try to expand. But yeah, the British have a free hand in North America. They have, I think, all the areas that they really liked overseas, and they continue to just glom up in India. So it does really favor the British to just sort of sit back, have a few spots around the world, and be friends with everyone. They don't need to jump into this war. It would not benefit them to. These lands right here. Now, if they jumped into the war, if they jumped in on the side of France, that's where they would be able to swing the control of the war really swiftly. And if you're Great Britain, you probably don't want that. You don't want to get a huge victory for France. And so, like, even though you'd want to be friends with France, I think that's why they're giving them a little bit of money, but they're not giving them the keys to complete victory. And so Great Britain is the kingmaker of this war by just sitting back and letting both sides try to break through. It does look like the Eastern forces may have withdrawn from Italy altogether. That is interesting to see. Venice is not no man's land. It's neutral in this conflict. Like, they don't have to worry about what's going on here. Ooh, factions. What's that? Oh, the aristocrats, the traders, the guilds. That's cool. And now they're moving back in, maybe for another push. But even then, it's still all under their control. Like, the French have a little breathing room in northern Italy, but it's breathing room that they need to grab up stuff. And let's see, I forgot how rich the Italian land is. Very, very rich. Yes. Oh yeah, let's look at Florence. Like, Florence... Ow. Florence has seen better days. They are subsidizing the Port of Pisa. They've got to be... yeah, they're taking out loans. Alright, so they are taking out loans. That's how they're paying for this all. I mean, the Knights have got to be feeling good. We're gonna start getting to the point where other nations can come into the war. And so, that are at peace with the French, but maybe have a bone to pick with them. Like, what if the Knights come into the war and try to grab the rest of Sicily? I guess Tunis wouldn't, because Tunis is being taken out by the Ottomans. Because they're on the side of Spain, but, like, Spain could try to re-enter. We're only, I think, 4 years away from that peace, or that truce subsiding. Have amazing interest per annum, so I can afford a ton of debt. Ooh, yeah, let's look at... Jeez, yeah, 2.75 interest. So there you go, there you go. That's... the modern banking was invented by the Italian city-states, and that bond market gave a major advantage to those that could wield it effectively. So that's basically what the Florence is doing. They're able to pay off they're just able to keep things going, despite being almost sieged down. Let's look at that war score. The war score is shifted back. Alright, a few victories, maybe. Hard to tell. Yeah, a few victories for the... oh, it looks like they're moving back in, though. They're launching a new offensive into northern Italy. Oh, but France is also. So yeah, we have this stalemate that's moving back and forth across the land. Seeing if there's anyone else in the world that's fighting anyone that isn't, like, fighting someone that isn't in this war. This seems like it's the main war. Trier still slowly building up their military forces. We have more forces arriving from Russia, and the Commonwealth still sitting this out. This could be... I mean, let's see how many people have died. This is... 2 million. We have 2 million casualties. I think we can declare this a world war. I mean, it feels like a world war. It's a war of French containment, certainly. But the casualties have just been immense. Alright, and we have even more. Alright, a small skirmish of 50,000 on each side is elevating quickly. As tens of thousands. Looks like the morale and the troop numbers on the Ottoman side are a little thin. Everyone's pushing for the Battle of Mantua. Now, the French have superior morale, but not a huge... The gap has closed. And so the question is, can they win this one? It looks like it's going to swing against the French. The French have given up. Alright, the French have fallen back. So yeah, just neither side able to break through. And it's just a massive war of attrition. I mean, let's take a look at each nation's stability. So France, 3 stability, war exhaustion, fairly low. Florence, 2 stability, very high war exhaustion. Ottomans, very low war exhaustion, but not as high stability. Also, very low exhaustion for the Prussians, but not only base level stability. Russians, pretty stable and pretty low war exhaustion. So, it really, the nation that might have to peace out at some point would be the Florentines. We'll see. That's what I get for sticking with France. Ooh. And that's the other thing, though, right? Like, the Ottomans want Florentine territory. And so that's what this war is all about. It's a two-pronged... Ooh! Florence, an audacious landing in Asia by Florentine Marines, has seized territory from the Ottomans. And that probably isn't going to sway things heavily, but it is going to be... I mean, it's got to not feel good. Got to feel bad, man. Because it doesn't look like they have any forts in the area. Or can we see forts from the site? Maybe we have to... Or we have to be them. Alright. They have... Yeah, there is a line at which they can't get in deeper. But they can take a lot of territory. What is the development of these areas, though? Is they could feel a bit of a pinch in some of these areas. It's not as bad as, like, landing in Greece, but that's gotta be unfortunate. And, I mean, if they could siege down, somehow get in and siege down these, and cut the Ottomans off from their own territory, maybe, that'd be pretty brutal. Split the Ottoman Empire in half. That's where then maybe the British would say, okay, there's enough in this, enough going for France's side for me to jump in. It'll strengthen France, but maybe I can get some land out of it, something like that. That's when I think the Commonwealth might start looking. But that's the downside. No one wants France to win, but everyone wants to get something good out of this fight. And that's the downside. That there's no... Like, how do you keep France from winning, but still win if you join France's side? That's the question. Venice has been swinging all over the place. The backstabbing the Ottos, then backstabbing Val. So that's not good. That's probably why... I mean, Venice is doing good by not being in this fight at the moment. But I'm sure that, yeah, they can't... Maybe they can't really join one side or the other. Another major battle is forming up. A, like, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, 6th Battle of Mantua. Here, another slight morale advantage for the French, but it looks like they're being outmaneuvered. And it's just yeah, I think France will lose this one. They just don't have the numbers. And they're taking the casualties. There you go. France does withdraw. Alright, so another victory, and yet inconclusive for this conflict. And let's see. I think Venice might try to jump on someone. I mean, all their neighbors are in war, and Venice stayed neutral. That's one thing. Like, after this war, what will the next war be? Especially if this one is just a stalemate. The costs are mounting, but there's no way that any one person can get anything out of this war to make it worth the cost. So now you have a very sunk cost fallacy type situation developing. where I think each side is probably just like, wow, this is bad. It's probably, I mean, the manpower drainage alone is going to deeply weaken each side. Russia has run out of people. Russia. France has run out of people. So everyone is out of people. And then you just have you've got hungry Netherlands, hungry Great Britain in a golden age. You're gonna have all these nations just waiting to see the fallout from this war, and that fallout might not be good. I mean, Ethiopia probably feeling bad because like there's no way that Oman is gonna lose the war, and so you do have other kind of hang-on nations that are doing really well for themselves, or at least being a good part of the war, or having a small part to play, but be able to say they showed up. Is Denmark protected? Yes, Denmark is protected. And let's see. Venice is pretty dead when I get back. Ho, 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 ho. And then is Denmark going to win? Or aren't they going to win? They have 3 goals completed. I mean, maybe, yeah. I think Denmark might be fairly close. But they don't have a person. Another major victory, an actual major victory for the British in Genoa. They've been able to isolate and destroy these 2 Ottoman armies. Completely destroyed. One right after another. So great breakthrough there for the French. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. And let's see, does anyone have a link to the goal sheet? I do, yes. And there we go. So yes, be sure, I think they're a little bit out of date. Maybe. Or they just haven't been checked off yet, because like obviously I have no oversight of any of the goals or any of that stuff. I am just an observer. I have no jurisdiction. But that's the goal sheet, so you can check out at least what each nation is trying to accomplish, whether or not it's 100% exactly where they're at the moment. But we can always look around and be like, aha, or oh, or whoa. But yeah, I mean, while we've had all these wars, or this one main war, there are plenty of human players who aren't at war. Oh, Aragorn is a person. And they're at war with the Inca. Well, well, well. Well, that's interesting. I think they just... No, where is Aragorn? Oh, okay, so they've had to migrate out of Spain. Interesting. Well, they're still in it. They're still in it. And then let's see. I love how Oman and QQ have flooded into Italy on this bandwagon. Let's see, we have a few more very small skirmishes. There we go. But yeah, you have all these powers wanting to help humble France. All piling onto France. France does have Florence to help them. But it's basically France versus the world, versus the East. With a big exception. Now I assume the Commonwealth probably has some deals with people, they don't want to break them. Because they wouldn't get enough out of trying to take on, like, I mean, they jumped into the war, they'd have to fight Prussia, they'd have to fight Russia, the Ottomans. Across a massive front. And so I imagine the Commonwealth is looking at the next war. Seeing this war and saying, I'm good, guys, I'm good at watching, paying out some cash. But that just means they're going to be fresh. The next war will be... could favor them.